Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing some craft room organization. If you've seen my previous video, I will have that linked for you if you are working with a really small space. I'm still working with a pretty small space, but previously I was crafting in my dining room and had to be able to store everything into a closet. I have a little bit of extra room here. We have a bonus room in our new house, but I'm not using the whole room for my craft stuff. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to organize it, what I'm using. I'm not spending, I went out and bought very few things. I did buy one cabinet because this room does not have a closet, but I just tried to use what I had. So it's not Pinterest perfect, but it is functional. And I'll talk you through how I'm deciding how to organize what with what, because that's always a struggle for me. Just so happens I needed to do another one, new craft room. So I figured I might as well make another video and hopefully you enjoy it as well. Come with me on this journey. So to start off, I did purchase a cabinet. This room does not have a closet, and I'm just showing you an overview of the room. It is a fairly large room, but I'm only using part of it for my craft space. My husband was wonderful and put this cabinet together for me, and we are going to tether it to the wall. I didn't want him to do that at first because I wasn't sure for sure where I wanted it, but he is going to take care of that for me. So I will have that cabinet linked for you. I don't remember how much it was because I looked at a couple different ones, but it was under $200 and pretty much used everything else that I already had. This is a table. We're just putting the legs back on it because we had taken everything apart for our move. Our home setup is different than our last house. So I was crafting on my dining room table before, and I'm using that same table to craft on, which is great because it's totally damaged from my crafting. And it just worked out that way. So I'm starting off by just kind of trying to figure out where I want to put everything. The cube organizer is something I already had in our last house in our closet, the closet I was using. The rolling cabinet, the one I was using was totally destroyed, but I had this one somewhere else in the house that I'm no longer needing, so I'm just using it. But you can buy them very inexpensively. And then I was just kind of moving everything else to the other side of the room. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to use the rest of the room, but right now it's just storing home decor until I have a chance to go through all of that. Okay, I always struggle with what to put with what, and I was sending some messages. Marco Polo is an app I use to talk to some of my YouTube friends, and I was just picking their brain like, well, should I put this with this or that with that? Really, you need to organize in a way that works with how you craft. So here I am sorting out ribbons, and then like things like twine and other kind of like trim pieces together. I did decide to pull out any super Christmassy ribbon and put it with my Christmas stuff. That's another thing I struggle with sometimes. I'm like, do I keep all of the ribbon together? Do I keep all of the stencils together? Or do I put them by season? Because sometimes, we mix things up a little bit and we don't always use them for their intended purpose. So I'm starting off here with some Christmas stuff. It was so hard at first because everything was such a mess. I had things everywhere. But I'm not going to take you through every little thing, but I am going to just help you understand some of the thought process. There I showed you some little, I know it was really fast, leaf garland that is from the Christmas section, I think at Hobby Lobby. But I'm like, no, it doesn't look Christmassy. I could use it to make wreaths any time of year on pieces. So that's kind of what I was trying to decide. Can this be used for something else, or am I just going to be using it for a season? And I pretty much have 3 categories. This is just based on me and what I'm doing. So again, make it make sense for you. I have Christmas, I have fall, and then I have kind of like Valentine's, spring, Easter, summer, because I don't do a lot for Valentine's Day. My summer is what I would consider like my patriotic 4th of July stuff. And spring, Easter, I just don't have a lot of that. So I have that all together. But if you do more for Valentine's Day or for Easter, you might need more space for that. The 3 drawer organizers on the left, the white ones, those are probably just from Walmart. I don't know. I've had them forever. And I was using them in my craft space. The acrylic one on the right, I used to use for my makeup, but I don't use that much makeup, so it really was just taking up space that it didn't need to be. So I rearranged that stuff in my bathroom, and I was like, I might as well just use this. Now the drawers on this aren't as deep, so I couldn't fit the same types of things in them, but just reusing what I have. And I did do just a quick clean out of everything as we went along. And I've got lots of bits and pieces. If you're like me and you take Dollar Tree items or clearance finds or thrift finds, take them apart and make them your own. I save all of the things that I take off of pieces. You just never know what you might need. One thing I am going to be doing this coming year, hopefully in these next few months mostly, is going through things, and everyone's different. If you want to be a maximalist, be a maximalist. If you want to be a minimalist, be a minimalist. I find that I lay somewhere in the middle. But I'm going to try to be going through my items and either find a way, like if it's something I've had on hand for a long time, find a way to use it or get rid of it. So that is my goal. I didn't really get rid of a whole lot in this process here because I didn't want to get bogged down in my time because I really just need a functional craft space. So I needed to get this done, but I am going to be doing that kind of going forward. Now, obviously, the types of things that you're going to be organizing is going to depend on what you craft with. If you use a lot of molds, if you use a lot of resin, if you use a lot of transfers, I'm kind of minimal on those items, so I didn't need a whole lot of space for those things. I also think it's important to craft in the way that your brain works. So here I'm going through a lot of my stickers and stencils and some embellishments that have words and letters on them, stamps. And I was just like, do I keep the stencils together or do I keep all of my word things together? Do I keep the stencils together or like all of the designs and embellishments? And for me, this is something I decided to get rid of because there was just a few letters on there that clearly I wasn't using. But when I'm going to create, for me personally, and I know this is different for everybody, unless you are making a video, which I could do this and I might do this, where you're just doing all stencils in the video, but a lot of you aren't making videos, you're just making crafts for your home. So for me, I'm like, okay, if I'm looking to put a word on a project, then I want to know where to find the words instead of looking through stencils, embellishment, wood pieces, transfers. I wanted them together. That's just how it made sense for me. But I think you need to just go with kind of like how your brain works. Now, I'm sure I will change some of this up as we go along, as I go along in the crafting in these next few weeks. But by and large, I think I pretty much nailed it. Now, I think I said this in the beginning. This is not an aesthetically pleasing, everything's Pinterest perfect. I've collected those little fabric bins over, the years. They don't all match, but it works and it's functional. That to me is the most important. We're going to try to get the stuff put away. So this cabinet does have adjustable shelving, but there's only so many spots to put the pegs. So I couldn't adjust it anywhere, but I had a few options. So thankfully, I have a couple of the same drawer organizers that stacked really well, and the other ones just fit okay together. I'd love to hear from you. What kind of space are you using to craft in? Do you have a large space? Do you have a small space? Like I said, I will have my previous video linked below, and I was crafting in my dining room and had to be able to fit everything into a closet. So I understand working with, smaller spaces. I still am not using a huge space, but I definitely have more room to work with. So sometimes part of the process of organizing is doing things and then undoing them. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm going to do it a couple more times. I decided that the weight of the paint, I wanted them in the drawers. I had so much of it. So I took out the ribbon and twine. Also, if I want, I can roll this cart over to my table where I'm working and have access to my paints. And I'm also going to put my glues in here as well. I could probably have done this more perfectly or ideally if I had different cabinets, different spaces, but I didn't want to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. So sometimes I was like, well, this, I like to put it here, but it simply doesn't fit here. So that's, I just was going with what I've got. I got lots of random bins. Most of these are probably from the Dollar Tree, and then everything else is probably from Walmart. I think my cube organizer is either from Walmart or from Big Lots. I can't remember. Anyway, I just want to encourage you to use what you've got, and whether it's a large space or a small space, a large budget or a small budget, you can make it work. Can you make it more fun, perhaps, with a larger budget? Absolutely. But for me, that's not important. And so I just wanted to work with what I had. We bought a house, and so I'm not really wanting to spend a bunch of money. The cabinet was important because we do not have a closet. Also, if I end up using this room as a space for kids to play when we have company, I can put all of the, paints and stuff. I would rearrange some things probably. Well, I don't know. Maybe I just take the paints out of the room. But my point is, I could put stuff in the cabinet and put a lock on there if I needed to. And that was kind of important to me. So just look at what is important to you. This room is definitely going to have multi-purpose. I could probably use it just for my crafts, but honestly, that would be overwhelming for me to have that many crafting items. I feel like I am lacking some things I would like to craft with, but I have a lot of stuff that I don't need. So over the next couple of months, as I go to create, I'm going to weed through some things and then replenish with some things that I really am excited to create with. So I did take a break from my creating for a couple of days, or from my organizing for a couple of days, and here's what I have left. And a lot of it is kind of just random stuff. So I just kind of bit the bullet here. I took away any extra packaging for things. I found this cord to something, and I don't know what it's to. I'm not getting rid of it, but it's not to anything in my crafting stuff, to my knowledge. So anyway, we're going to just make some decisions. I have what I have heard described as analysis paralysis. I don't do anything because I can't figure out exactly what I want to do, and that's not a really great option. Okay, so I just want to show you, I did pick up a few things, Christmas clearance at Dollar General that were only 25 cents each. So I had a few more things I needed to put away, and now I'm not bringing anything in the house. I need to just stop. But I have a hard time making decisions, and so a lot of times I make no decision. So I decided that it was time to just start putting something somewhere, and if I needed to move it a few times, that was okay. So just want to give that encouragement because that's a big struggle for me. So the only other thing I picked up in this whole process besides the cabinet was these little shoe bins. I got them from the Dollar Tree. I'll admit the lids don't clip on them as well as some other ones, but for $1.25, they serve the purpose. I'm sorry for my voice. I feel like it's squeaking. I'm still just I feel fine, but this lingering stuff from a cold is affecting my voice. I only end up using 2 of those, so I will save them. I will either use them still in the craft room as I am here and just using stuff and finding the need to change things, or I'll use them somewhere else in the house. If you need something with a better latching lid, you may want to get something, spend $4 or $5 on one from Walmart. But for what I was using it for, it really didn't matter. They served the purpose just fine. They feel fine and sturdy. The lid just doesn't snap on as well as other ones do. I just want to encourage you, just start. And if it doesn't work, you can change it. It doesn't have to be a permanent decision. So just do your best, make it work. By the way, if you're new here, hi, welcome. My name's Leanne. I enjoy sharing budget-friendly DIYs here on this channel. Although this is not a DIY, it is a do-it-yourself organization video. So if you're into making home decor and seasonal decor and just fun little things like that, I'd love it if you would subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's a very easy way to help me out. Helps my channel out. Leave comments down below, all of that. And yeah, so we are just about done, and I'm going to give you the reveal here in just a second. All right, so here it is. It is not necessarily aesthetically pleasing, but I'm going to kind of go through what I did. I did have a tablecloth, like a plastic tablecloth cover I found. So I laid that down to protect my carpet. Could use a lot of different things, but I had that, so that's what I used. I decided to leave this somewhat set up with a few things on it. I'm still working on lighting. I need to order some lighting for filming, so I will be working on that. But back here are some items that I need to be working on that a company sent me. I have a couple of lamps, some just household cleaner to wipe off my mat, baby wipes I like to keep nearby. My vacuum is back there, my little hand vacuum. And I decided to leave my heat gun out too because I use it in most of my crafting. I've got my silicone mat and one of these plastic mats from the Dollar Tree, like the cutting board. Sometimes I'll paint something on here and then I can just carefully lift this up and set it to the side to dry to work on something else. And I'm actually not sure why this is still out. But I have been using jars for pens and paintbrushes and stuff. And then I do have a garbage can. there, power strip, extension cords to be able to plug in all of my things. I have that on top of the plastic in case you can't tell. Sorry for the shadows. We're going to turn over to the rest of this. Now the rest of the room is I'm not using for crafting, and it's still a mess because this is not a part of the crafting video. So here is my supplies and I'll run through it with you. All right, I added on a flash, so hopefully that helps a little bit. So here I've got like my paint pens because they're supposed to be upright. I also have some puffy paint in here. I have some nail polish, which I've used in crafts. These are like the wood furniture markers. I actually just saw another one of these somewhere. And I was like, where did this come from? Anyways, scraps of paper that I'm just using to like dab off my paintbrush. Washi tape. I guess I should put my painter's tape here too, because I use the washi tape usually to like make some paint line or like some stripes or whatever. Toothpicks, because I sometimes use those to like mix up paint. I have a candle here that I use when I'm doing the chippy paint method. I just thought I'd keep it here. A cup. I think I'm actually going to use a jar in the future to clean out my paintbrushes with water because it's less likely to get tipped over. Not that I've actually tipped this over before, but I'm just nervous because now I'm in a room with carpet and new carpet at that. All right, so I have this rolling 3-drawer container. I've had this for a while. I was using it in a different space in my house before we moved. And my one that I was using fell apart. So I was glad I had this on hand, but these are not very expensive. You can get them at Walmart. Up here, I have all of my acrylic paint. I also have this box lid because that is sometimes handy when painting beads to roll around and have them dry. So I just decided to keep it in with my paint. So I am going to try to be working on all the ones towards the front because I'm wanting to dwindle down some of these paints. So I have so much, partially because a company sent me some. So anyways, then down here I do have some acrylic paint. I'm gonna hold this up with my knee. I don't wanna pull it out too far. This is some acrylic paint from Dollar Tree, but the rest of this is Waverly. There's also some wax in there, some DIY wax, some Waverly wax as well. And if I want, I can pull this, since it's on wheels, over to my table. This is some glues, Mod Podge, which I really need to get some new ones. I've been kind of using the bottom of the bottles for a while, but I put my clamps in here. So I think it's important to organize in a way that just makes sense for you. I put my clamps in here because if I'm gluing something together, I want to clamp it to make sure it adheres. So I also have things like Scotch tape and glue sticks and hairspray, which is very handy for Christmas glittery items. I always seal them with hairspray. I probably won't do it up here so I don't get hairspray everywhere, but at least I'll know where to find it. And it's like an adhesive in that sense, like that's how I'm using it. So it just made sense to put it there. Once again, not a perfect setup, but I have these little caddies with tools. These are kind of my more commonly used tools, and I can easily just pick this up and carry this over to my table while I'm working. Paper towels, usually these have been used to dry paintbrushes and I save them for painting. So actually, let me just tuck these in here as well. If I lay my paintbrushes on them to dry, I'll just use them for other things. Anyways, I have this jar with some paintbrushes. I have this with different like markers and stuff. Here's that other furniture marker. Hang on, we're gonna go put this back. Yeah, okay. Nope, that's not where it was. See, I'm still remembering. And then just some other little tools and stuff. So there's that. This is my like fabric and scraps bin. And then this isn't, perfect, but here's some ribbon scraps. And then I have some like twine type ribbon in there. And then other ribbon is here. I may try to move these into some more of these. I do have a couple of these that I picked up that I didn't use yet. So we'll see. I might fine tune it a little bit, but here is my mini heat press. And then here's some parchment paper because I always need that when I'm using it. And my giant thing of twine, which I'll be honest, is kind of annoying because it's huge, but I got it so cheap at a thrift store, and it was brand new, and I will never have to buy twine again. This is my miscellaneous bin with lots of random stuff. Here is a lot of blanks. So these little tobacco baskets I picked up from the Dollar General, and signs I picked up on clearance. Just things that I can kind of create from scratch with. And then here is kind of like wreath, and here's like a greenery scrap bag. I have more greenery like in my decor that I may eventually move up here as well. That's what that is. And then I have a few pieces that are just bigger that I want to do some makeovers on that I picked up on clearance or the Dollar Tree. I also have some craft paper back there. I don't have anything else like that, so I just tucked it there. Same thing here, some shelves, and they're just too big to put anywhere. So I'm gonna hopefully be making them over soon. All right, so up here, this bin has floral foam and different types of moss. And then this one, which you can't really see, and it has yarn, something I don't use super often. My saw, I wanted it in the cabinet, but I couldn't fit it. And then these two containers, I may end up rearranging some of this based on how frequently I use stuff, but the top one is all like wood pieces, wood slices, wood sticks, and the bottom one is all rocks. So you can see lots of different rocks, probably all from the Dollar Tree. All right, so this is pretty full, and it mostly makes sense. I'll start down here. These are both Christmas, like exclusively Christmas items. And then up here, I just kind of organize, well, you guys saw how I organize this. These are my stickers that wouldn't fit in the drawers. We've got some embellishments, ink pads, just, you know, words, letters, stencils. Here's some more. Those are like letters. Some of those are stencils, some of them aren't, but some more stencils over here. They just didn't fit in a drawer. I put my transfers here that have been gifted to me. I have a few pieces of, or a few types of like vinyl, leather, things like that from the Dollar Tree. There's my random drawer. Here's a few more paintbrushes. I left the most commonly used ones out. And then wood beads, embellishments, and craft sticks. Now I may at some point label these drawers, but I'm not convinced that it'll stay. And then here's some more adhesive type stuff like tapes. This is like foam tape, things like that. And then up here, it gets a little bit more random. Here is my fall bin. Here is my spring and summer and Valentine bin. I don't have, it's just kind of all together. And then these are just some more blanks that I didn't fit elsewhere. Here is some books that I can DIY with. And then up here, I have my paper. I have this big random thing of paint. I have it in a bag too, just to like double make sure nothing happens. But kind of things I couldn't fit elsewhere. Here's some, you know, pieces to craft with, but there's my level and it didn't fit really anywhere else. Here are some tools. That's my wood burning tool, my cutting mat, my paper cutter, things like that. And then over here, I've got some rubbing alcohol to clean glass with. And I've got a couple tablecloths that I picked up at different times if I feel like I need some extra protection. And then these are kind of random, but when we moved into our house, the sellers left us like a basket of random stuff that I was like, I don't really want to use. Plus they all smell like the fabric softener they also put in the basket, so I would never eat off of these things. So I'm like, I'll use them in my craft space. So some styrofoam plates for mixing paint, some paper cups, some plastic bags for organizing or crafting. Here's some other plastic bags that I emptied when I was organizing, some zip ties. So just kind of that kind of a thing. All right, well, that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to my channel. I love sharing budget-friendly DIYs here, and I hope that you want to stick around to see how I'm using all my crafting stuff, all of the different things that maybe you saw. And yeah, all right, well, that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.